to Talking That Talk official podcast where we are comfortable and uncomfortable conversations. I am your host, Juice, aka No Ordinary Brother.
All right, what's good, world? I go by the name of King Exodus. Thank you for tapping in. Make sure you share the live, share the video. Make sure you tap into the YouTube channel as well, Talking That Talk official podcast. Alrighty, so we got a couple of segments to get into before we get rolling for the main topic. So, just prayers up for Bronny James. Apparently, the young man suffered a cardiac arrest situation during a practice at USC previously. From what I hear, he's in stable conditions now out of ICU. So just prayers up for that young man and his family. It's sad to say, but the first thing came to my mind is that people hate LeBron James so much for no apparent reason that if something like that happened and was to go left, I think people would actually parade at something like that. Or all of a sudden, hey, he sacrificed his son. Like, these are the kind of things ran through my mind, man. But it's very unfortunate to have your child go through a life and death situation. As a parent, that most definitely can be your worst nightmare. So you got it.
Oh man, like I said, hey, listen, prayers, strong will, guide, and hopefully the boy gets nurtured back to good health. Something that's interesting has been going on. It's been a lot of situations where blood clots going on with several celebrities within the past week or two. Right now, with I don't know, people catching blood clots around their heart. I know this is a little bit different, but like I said, hey, everybody just be conscious of things that's going on around you. Be conscious of the food you're consuming, as well as make sure you get your proper rest. And hey, watch your eating habits. One of the one of the subtopics we got right now. Carlethia Russell, right? I don't know if y'all know about the woman that cried wolf, cried Amber Alert. Basically, she faked her kidnapping. Well, she's taking a lot of heat right now, ladies and gentlemen. And the most interesting thing that just happened over the weekend, she's not speaking to cops with all the evidence that had just got released from learning that she lied about her whole incident. No, not only is she not speaking to cops, but she actually went to Atlanta to celebrate her birthday. And people were saying like, maybe some mental illness, maybe something's going on. I don't know people celebrating their birthday with something like that is going on. You got your whole family being covered by the media. As you can tell, I don't know about y'all. If you look and observe the parents closely, you look at the father. The father looks like he knows what's up, but he just doesn't want to go against the family on how his wife and the wife and her mother is towards the situation. He looked like he's just riding with it, and he just don't want to interfere, knowing it's time to like air it out and leave things alone. They call her Carly's, was that Smolier? I listen. I really got no words for that situation that goes on. However, I do find it interesting some of the comments I have been reading over the situation. Like, hey, listen, let's not pretend black women are not going missing at the same time. She lied about the story. Hey, it's just a story to bring awareness to black women. She could have been doing that. And I was like, yeah, I don't. Some things are just not there that y'all try to add there. I don't care how hard y'all try to focus on. It's just not there. She just lied. Just be honest. And I'm also looking at it on a dating perspective. If a woman would go that extreme for attention, imagine being in a relationship with her. But yeah, that's all I got on that situation right now. What about you, man? How do you feel about that situation?
Hey, fellas, you know what we say, man. Women lie, man. You know what I'm saying? That's what they do. No, it's just bullshit. It's just crazy, man, that this really happened. With all the situations where people in general go missing, these cases get overlooked, overshadowed, never make the mainstream, and unfortunately, BS makes the mainstream, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't use this as a catalyst to draw attention to a bigger issue. We just gotta sometimes just pay attention to how the world works. Sometimes people just are really desperate for attention nowadays, and dramatic events or traumatic events is by any ways a means to bring attention to people. People are willing to do anything for attention right now. Anything to go viral.
Whew.
Everything is about clicks, likes, social media fame. So this is the trajectory that, you know, a lot of people are tapping into. Do what it takes to get attention. I don't know if this was like a stunt because of an issue with her boyfriend. I don't know. Some people said that. I have no idea. But it's just sad. And we shouldn't champion these types of acts. Because like I said, it's a lot of people that go missing and the story never makes the news. So terrible, terrible, terrible. And let's stop putting black on everything. Like, let's be careful with that word. It's a loaded word now. Let's just stop throwing black in every type of situation that transpires. That's pretty much that's all I got with that, man.
Man,
Yeah.
it was something you just said that hit me, and I'll let you go to the next topic. I don't know if you know about it, but there was a lady that lied about winning the lotto ticket that was black. I don't know if you heard about that
No, I ain't
story.
hear about that. Tell me.
Hey, bro, like they called the camera crew. They went to the store. She was fanning out like, "Oh my God!" And I was like, "Ma'am, can we talk?" She's like, "No, I don't want to talk right now. I just want to get out."
Yeah.
Just to find out later on she lied. Like, imagine calling the paparazzi on yourself and
On the line. That's
I, I,
too low.
I got that comments, man.
Yeah, fellas, we up. Too low.
Like, we up 2-0 right now. We up 2-0 right now.
All right. All right. So next segment, pretty viral situation. Jess Hillarious made a comment, or a couple of comments about the transgender community, right? About transgender, was it transgender women? Men getting the surgery to become women, how they're pretty much soaking up all the rights from women, sweeping the rug from underneath their feet. And sad situation. These are types of things that you have to really look at. You have to go backwards before you can actually see how we came to this point. The quote unquote gay movement has been trying to insert itself within even the civil rights movement from back in the day. This has always been something that has been implemented within the struggle for humanity, so to speak. And over time, it's continued to gain more momentum, more momentum, more momentum. And then you don't even just have it about the quote unquote homosexual community. There's so many different communities that fall within this movement as we're seeing it unfold. To even where you have, you know, I don't even want to say it, the pedophile situation. Like you have all these types of things coming under this cloak of love is love. So anyway, we have situations to where even the transgender, the men turning themselves into women, I don't even know what to call it, are getting more rights than the women getting the surgeries to become men. We're just seeing these types of things happen. So it's making women the minority in these types of situations to where they're losing their rights, to where a man can be a man his whole life, get a surgery, and then compete in women's sports and dominate. We've seen these things happen within the recent time period. So we have to be careful about the things that we champion and be careful about the movements that we don't even pay attention to because it don't affect us at the time. But it's always going to be some type of effect, especially for black people. Sorry, especially for black people. In this case, we're in particularly talking about women, but we just have to be careful about these movements and how they coincide. When the George Floyd situation popped off, Black Lives Matter was supposed to be about black people. Then all of a sudden it became about everybody. We even had a situation where we talk about what's the court case? Affirmative action. Affirmative action was supposed to be about black people having equality, not just about where they were at the moment, but it was supposed to have been historically rewriting the inequality of racism being a system towards black people. So what did they do? They narrowed it down and said, all right, we'll let black people have access to all these different schools. That had nothing to do originally what affirmative action rooted behind. It didn't change the entire system of racism. It only changed one thing. And then you have black people that's so happy with just one thing being changed or two things that they lose focus on fighting for everything that you should be fighting for. So not to get too long with it on this, we just have to be careful of the movements that pop up, the movements that insert our movements, and we have to separate everything. I'm sorry. We can't fight multiple different fights at one time. Even if you're a black belt support martial artists to the highest degree. There's only but so many people you can fight at one time. Hey, and then somebody can always bring a gun to a fist fight. So we just have to be aware of how we strategize politically. So you got it.
Uh, one thing that stood out about what Jess Hillarious said was she was saying, look, who's going to protect us? And I was thinking to myself, I was like, listen, in this type of situation, the only person that protect y'all is y'all at this moment, right? Like, what's going on? I was talking to X. I said, listen, with all these movements that go along, you got to remember they jumbled different movements together to make a group. So even if you attack one group or you try to defend yourself from one group, all the group is gonna unite behind one situation. I rarely see any individuals of the letters go against each other when it comes to public affairs. This is just me. This is me. But one thing I remember that Little Mama did a while ago, she said, listen, I want to make a group, an organization that protects heterosexuals, men or women, in situations where whether the LGBT community attacks or violates or be disrespectful towards us, we're able to unite and defend ourselves. And I remember when she said that, a lot of people laughed at her. And I'm like, listen, I'm going to be honest with you. That was the smartest thing y'all could do. Because now with Jess Laird's, saying her comment towards what had happened with the individual talking about women, that should have been the group behind you right there immediately to go against whatever just happened. But like I said, everybody operates as a self-entity or individualism. It's chaotic. You got to put organizations and leadership behind you to make a movement successful or to get the proper defense behind you. Like I said, it did cause a lot of things within the community right now. I see a lot of people got behind her. 19 Keys and Brother Rizwan. I think Brother Rizwan did too, and a couple other people that I was just thinking of. But yeah, I mean, it was just interesting just seeing that. And also, man, I forgot to mention this earlier. Rest in peace to Gilly the Kid's son, man. He got killed over the weekend. Man, yeah, that was a crazy situation. I don't know if you know about that.
Yeah. One last thing I'll say about this, especially to the Black community. Look, you have to pay attention to how people, quote unquote, become temporarily Black or they disassociate with whatever type of movement that feeds their personal gain at whatever moment. Like, Kamala Harris was African American. She was Black the whole time the election was going on. But as soon as all that shit was over with, she was Asian American. Like, we have to pay attention to these things. So no knock to the transgender community or whatever, but you have to pay attention to Black people that fight for transgender rights or sexual preference rights. Do these people get leverage in those types of situations? Okay, I got what I got on this end, so do I go back to being Black? Like, at some point you have to pick a side and you have to pick your loyalty and you have to just watch what people pledge their allegiance towards, right? So just keep that in mind. If that community is gaining all this access to rights quicker than Black people could ever dream of, or the Black people that's within those struggles going back to their Black community and sharing the resources. You ain't got to tap out of your own struggle, but are you bringing that shit back home and sharing the resources? 9 times out of 10, no. So you just have to keep in mind how people move. It's okay to not join other people's movements if it has nothing to do with you personally, because everybody else is doing the same thing. So.
Oh man, my fault. This is also another news. I remember during the war Cold War that's still going on with Ukraine and Russia. They didn't care if you was a trans woman. They just like, hey, if you was born as a man, you're gonna fight this war.
Yeah, that should out the window.
They left it out the door. They said, hey, listen, you're gonna fight this war. Right. And now Putin actually just passed a bill right now banning all transgender transformations within the country. He's catching a lot of heat for that, but you got a lot of people that's behind it at the same time. But like I said, there's a couple different things that happened that just popped in my mind. We can go ahead and move on to the topic of discussion, man. What we talking about today, man? You wanted to do this subject.
All right, so Marlon Wayans, I don't even know because we have these social media things that go viral, the little meme game. So it was a meme where Marlon Wayans supposedly stated that he never got married because of his mother. Uh, she deserved his attention 100% of the time. Uh, so nobody could compete with that. So his mother needed him, so he never got married. Now, like I said, I don't know if these comments were accurate, but it definitely is a catalyst to a bigger conversation because we see this happen every day where young men do not go out and produce families, facilitate families, right? Build their own homes and legacies because they're in contracts, lifelong contracts to death do us part with their mothers. And these types of things happen. We call it the son husband, the mother wives, whatever you want to call them. Like it happens, right? In no situation should a mother raise her son to always be at her side. Because truth be told, a man is supposed to be at that woman's side, whether it's the biological father of that child or it's her husband that she finds outside of that, outside of producing that child. So it's not even just sons. We have women that don't even go out and get married because they have an allegiance that they pledge to their mother. We see it all the time where people can't even move, switch states, cities, locations because they have to stay close to their mother or their parents. So we had a conversation tonight about these son husbands and how does this play a role into the bigger picture of what we call society and community. So you got it.
Oh man, man, when he said I didn't get married because of my mom, that I was just looking at it like, okay, that's kind of weird. Um, I would never let my mother be the situation why I didn't marry. It would have to really fall on me, me or myself as an individual looking for a spouse or wanting to make that family or that commitment. Not my mom. I mean, the purpose of extending your family, your branch is to build the lineage, to make it stronger down the line. But just to say, like, hey, one of the things he had said was he wasn't willing to give up that place that he has for his mother. Him and his mother share the same birthday, and like, why would I give that to somebody else? I'd rather just give it to my mom. Uh, there was I forgot the professional word they call it. But at the same time, when situations like this do pop off, when men are son husbands, we have to look at also how the mother is training the child at some point. Um, if you're still teaching your child to attach to you long in life, I'm not gonna lie, within his 20s, he might just never let that type of love go. That's why when some women say like, "Oh, y'all want y'all girlfriend to love you like y'all mother," I was like, listen. Sometimes that's all that what that man knows is being around his mom from every situation he was in. I know a woman I was speaking with one time, and she was like, "Yeah, my son's a square," and I was like, "Well, how old is he?" She was like, "She's 20. He's 24." I was like, "What are you teaching him? Like what's going on? Like, why would you, say that?" Well, he's always been underneath me, and he's so used to being at home. He goes to college, comes back home, and to be honest, I don't even know if he's ready for the world like that, but. So I don't mind him staying at home with me, and plus I might need help around the house. It's like you're trapping him, but you at the same time you're gonna benefit off of him at the same time. So a person who never leaves the house never knows what he's truly capable of with another individual. So and that another thing is it also that type of love and that type of activity can also connect outside the home. Because I know people who stay 5 minutes or 10 minutes within a proximity of where their mother or father stays. I'm like, yo, is that something that's healthy for you, or is that more convenient for your people so you can be closer to them and help them out in any situation? Um, you have some people who do like to test their ground, and how do you say it? They like to test who they are as an individual. That's why they move on the other side of town. They move out of situations where they can focus on building for themselves, and then they'll get back to family when they're able to. But a lot of situations is a lot of men in those situations never just tended to things that was in front of them.
I can kick it off with this. Man, when I was growing up, I was very close to my mother, right? She used to have this comment that she would make, like, hey, you get older, You get married, you know, you have your wife, whatever. You know, you should get a big house to where, you know, y'all can stay on one end, and then I can have my end of the house to myself. And it never hit me when I was younger, like, yo, that's fucked up. But the older I got, I'm like, these are the type of situations that occur, especially within the Black community, to where 9 times out of 10, if your mother's a single parent that, you know, well, single woman, let's keep it on that story,
Yeah,
and
just a,
that never changes, what tends to happen is Kevin Samuels talks about it a lot. What happens when you get older in age? You're going to need a caretaker, right? You don't have a lifelong partner, a deaf partner, so you need somebody to care for you, damn near 24/7. So what happens? You become a liability, you become a burden to your children. In this case, we're talking about the sons. So to switch gears, Gabrielle Union, in a recent interview that was viral, the whole 50-50 talk, she said, look, I have to provide for multiple households. When she started talking like that, I started to understand her more than I did previously, right? So we have a lot of men growing up thinking that it's not good enough for me to just be successful and take care of my responsibilities as a man. My responsibilities as a man is not just for me to take care of my children and my family and my household. I got to provide for multiple households. I got to take care of mama. You know what I'm saying? Not a little bit, sometimes a lot, because the more successful you are, and let's just say you're the most successful person within your branch, right, your family tree, now you're going to play a bigger role in the responsibility of multiple households. So you're going to work 10 times harder than need be. So let's just say you in excess of 6 figures. That's enough to take care of your own family by a long shot. But if you got 3, 4 households, 3 households that you providing for, that 6 figures become smaller. That $1 million becomes smaller. So now you sacrifice time and resources that's going towards your own family to produce for people outside of the household. We don't talk about that when we want to talk about divorces. That type of pressure that's put on men, Black men in particular. So it should never be a situation to where you have to choose, hey, shit, mama or my kids, mama or my wife. You should never be in those types of situations because mama should be taken care of. Mama should have a husband. But we don't have those conversations. So even with Keke Palmer, I don't need no man. I just need a bag. I don't need no nigga. That son is going to become older one day. You know what I'm saying? It's not always just about money. So what happens when that son becomes older? He's going to be that nigga that you said you didn't need when you was younger. We don't think about it. So we don't have the conversations of like, look, if you're a woman and have a child, if it don't work out with the father, you still need to find a husband. Let's have that conversation first before we have these conversations of my son got me. And we see it all the time. Women will raise their son to be their little ninja, like the little warrior protector. From birth, he just knows protect my mama. My mama this, my mama that. That shit makes him a mama's boy. It makes him undateable in the world. It pulls women away from him. So when Marlon Wayans made the comment, I'm just like, yo, and this will be my last thing, and there's no disrespect towards him or his mother, but some people have these relationships with their mother to where the only thing they're not doing is having sex with their mom. That's the only thing they're not doing. Everything else is pretty much like they're in a relationship. So you got it.
no, I mean, listen, that was a great way to end it. Only thing I was gonna say is, listen, kids are parents' retirement plans. Sorry.
Oh, one thing, baby.
Hey, listen, that's one of the retirement plans is actually your kids. I talked about it before, like yeah, back then, if families wanted to have a big family, whether it was on a basis of finding a successor within those kids, they also looked at it like, okay, we got multiple kids to also take care of us. So, you know what I'm saying? Like it was different ways that people were looking at having kids at one point in time, back then. So, like I said, the sad part is some of us is going to be our parents' retirement plan, right? We might be like, all right, I'm gonna work here about 20 years, 30 years. I'm gonna put some stocks in. I'm gonna buy some houses. They're gonna drop it in your ear, like, listen, I'm getting older. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got a spot for me? I know somebody recently, right? I know somebody recently. literally had to talk with their daughter. It was like, hey, listen, getting kind of older now, uh, and I understand, you're in the military. I know you're going to use that. What's that? The GI Bill? The GI Bill? Or, hey, listen, I know you're going to use that GI Bill to get a house. Would you be willing to open your doors for your mom? I'm like, whew. You had to plan that. You had to plan. You had to plan that in that type of situation, because, like I said, if there's nobody taking care of your mother, they have a spouse, companion, whatever you want to call it. The next person falls in line is their immediate children, and if the children don't take care of, and that's the one thing I don't like. If the children don't take care of their parents, it's automatically the children don't care for their parents or disrespectful. You raise those kids, why they're not taking care of you? I think a lot of people dismiss the fact that some of us operate on the basis of let's get our immediate family well first before we extend back to our original, our parents. And the struggles of trying to do two things at one time is very difficult. I was listening to a couple of different stories on how people try to balance that out. You mentioned Gabrielle Union. I remember, hold up, just popped on him. Michael B. Jordan. Michael B. Jordan said his parents moved in with him, and and listen, they're married, but he was just like, hey, I keep my parents close. It's more convenient for us, and I was just like, damn, bro, and like I said, it just popped in my head. It's a lot of people like that. I said, once their kids become successful, listen, your success is their success now. One of the things I remember was Matthew McConaughey. Y'all know I like that. That's one of my favorite white actors. He was talking about how his mom wanted the limelight so much that she started doing her own thing in order to get the attention. One of the things he did on was a show called 2020. I was like Daylight TV, whatever. But basically, she called in the paparazzi basically for herself and started giving a tour of the house. This is where he used to sleep at. This is where he made love to Melissa. And I was like, damn, she put all his business out there. But he said at one point in time, it got so bad he used to push his mom away at one point in time because she wanted the attention, to a point where when she got older, he was just like, fuck it, family's gonna be family at the end of the day. But it also hit me like, damn, so if that wasn't his mentality to repair that relationship, it makes me wonder, how hard do people still push to be in a child's life, even in situations where they're focused on what they have going on. Yeah, like I said, I just found that interesting. Like, she kept pushing, I kept rejecting, to a point where, hey, I stopped rejecting, I just accepted it. I was just like, damn. But yeah, that was a good little story right there when he was talking about it.
All right. One of the homies sent me a Kevin Gates line, and in the beginning of the line, he was like, my mother is the reason I can never trust a woman. Like, we don't talk about that part of it. Like,
The
some
negative
men
side.
go through, right, deceitful situations with their mother, or ways where their mother failed them. So now this transmutates, it translates, it keeps going into the relationship world, to where it's going to be hard to trust a woman if your mother, being the first woman in your life, is some type of tension there. There's some type of disloyalty, distrust. We see it happen all the time. Men had these type of conversations amongst themselves, to where they like, yo, my mom did this, she did that, she did this selfish thing, she hurt me, she won't even take accountability for this, blah, blah, blah. Like, trying to get accountability out of your mother, like, it's like talking to a brick wall, like, a lot of times. So it builds a void for a lot of men to trust women. I went through it, especially in my early years. It was hard for me to listen to women because, I had this issue at home. Like, you know what I'm saying? So you have situations to where, all the truth Kevin Samuels talked about, people was just like, oh, he got mommy issues. You know what I'm saying? So it's different levels of the whole mommy issue thing. It don't take away from truth, nonetheless. But yeah, it's also some mothers out there that actually train their sons to not go out and get married, to not go out and produce families, because it's going to take away attention from them, like you spoke on. So there has to be standards and boundaries. There has to be boundaries. You know what I'm saying? Like, some people will set boundaries with their children, but don't set boundaries with their parents. Everybody has cutoffs, right? The most access that you give to people, the older you get, is 9 times going to be on like an intimate level. It's going to be with that spouse. So you have to have boundaries in play. And for a lot of men, they're tricked to live in a world to where if they're not accessible 24/7 to everybody that quote unquote they love, then that makes them less of a man. So you have to be able to judge your masculinity and how productive you are as a man based on your own standards. You can't let society depict that for you. You're not going to be able to come through in every clutch situation for everybody. Your kids, your wife, your mother. Like somebody's going to get the shorter end of you. And that's okay. Because if these people actually love you, if your mama actually love you, your parents actually love you, they would understand your life. They would understand your responsibilities. They would understand that. If you host a party, you invite multiple people to a party, you can't spend all the time at the party with everybody. You know what I'm saying? Somebody's going to get the shorter end of your attention. That's just how it works. So even parents know that. If you pay attention to your children, the more they go through their teenage years, the less you talk to them. It happens. Sometimes parents feel like, hey, you're getting older. I really ain't got to rock with you like that. Sometimes the kids get older and they like, I don't got to rock with you like that. So, but it's just really weird that once adulthood comes into the play and the threat of family comes into the play, now all of a sudden people want this immaculate attention from their adult children, right? So you got it.
Oh no. One thing that you said is the dating world, man. I know people who date with each other. They'll. I feel like they be guilt tripping their kids to be like, I know you're in a relationship, but you ain't got time for family no more. Listen, we used to do this all the time on Sundays. You ain't coming through. We don't see you no
Mm-hmm.
more. You know what I'm saying? It's like trying, like some of them are trying to work out and make their own traditions amongst themselves while they're dating, but
Mm-hmm.
people too warped into like, well, this is what we've been doing since you were a child. Don't let nobody else come in between it. Like, yo, what the fuck? One of the things he was talking about is some of the negative actions that happen when it comes to the interactions of like a mother and a son. I remember one of 50 Cent's lines just came to my mind. He was like, listen, mom said, listen, I'm the one who made you who you are. So I'm looking at everything he had went through at the same time as it being the creation of his character, right? I was just watching a rapper's interview, man. He was talking ill about his mom. He said, listen, my mom never believed me worth shit. She always had different men in the house. I was like, whoa, he was just hammering away, letting it go. I said, wow. But at the same time, one of the things that I'm reading in the comments is some of the men are agreeing, like, yeah, man, I went through that same stuff. Like, my mom had different men in the house. This was going on. I remember when I wasn't doing something correctly, the way she would punish me was on the basis of saying, this is how you become a man. Yeah. And it's like, yo, but at the same time, it's like, depending on how you look at it, some people look at it as abuse to get somebody through a situation. And some people look at it, oh, that's just like a rites of passage. We was talking about the incident with Dwight Howard and his son, like how he was training his son to try to get through an exercise and letting him know, like, listen, you got to be able to push through your limits the best way that you can and get through these exercises and get through this. But at the same time, it's how you connect with your child. If you feel like one love or one direction is the best way to get your child to act a certain way, sometimes it throws them off mentally as they get older. Um, I remember at one point in time, a dude used to tell me, listen, um, a way a woman would speak to me, if it reminded me of my mother in any way, I would just stop talking to her. And it could be like the simple advice. He's just like, we would talk about times where honesty, okay? We all went through a situation where they'd be like, hey, listen, I just want you to be honest with me. The minute you honest, you get your ass whooped. So what did it teach the child? Well, shit, maybe if I don't be honest, I'm going to get whooped someone. So it connects with them as they get older at the same time. If you say something, be truthful with me, be honest, it's going to connect back to their childhood of, if I be honest, I might get beatings, I might get something, so let me just say something else. It's a lot that goes into a lot of this stuff, man. But I just want to give out a little quick situation right there.
Okay. Um, let's do this. Some I've seen a lot of men throughout my time who just really lack responsibility because of this unconditional love that they receive from their mother, unconditional support. Like no matter what, mama's always there. That's a problem. You know, fathers 9 times out of 10 believe in tough love.
Mm-hmm.
I'm more than willing to teach you a lesson. It hurts, you know, but you learning this lesson is the most important thing. There's still a source of love being shown. It's just tough love. So a lot of people latch on to that and they never grow. They always have cushion. They always have a safe net. They always know they can go back home. Sometimes you have to remove that comfort out of your life, even if it's there. I'm not saying your parents are going to change 9 times out of 10. You have to change and realize that that could be a weakness. Uh, Sometimes you have to tap into fight or flight. Sometimes you have to feel like there's no safety net there in order for you to actually be responsible. At what age, right, is there a cutoff as to when, your mother should always have you back on that? You brought it up earlier in the case with a old girl who faked the kidnapping, how the mother still stood 10 toes, no matter what.
No
That's
matter
a
what.
problem, right? So if we hold our mothers to the number one position in our lives, no matter what, and it's funny because fellas, we'll tell our woman, hey, you don't come first, my purpose come first, right? But how do we then go to our mothers and not have that same conversation with them? Like, it's okay to check your mama, fellas. That's the problem that we have in society. Your mother's still a human being. Anybody can be checked. Anybody can be corrected. Course
Everybody get
correction.
these
Yeah.
hands, man.
What? I ain't saying do that. So
Hey,
I ain't saying do that. Yo, ex told me, nah, don't go to court and say
yeah,
that. But nah,
you
so yeah,
said
everybody deserves corrective action. Nobody is above reproach. Like, you just got to keep these things in mind. So if your purpose comes first, you have to know what your purpose is as a man. And I'm sorry, the next thing, you know what I'm saying? Maybe not the very next thing, but your woman is a part of that because that's going to be, right, the attachment to a relationship that can bring you closer to that purpose. And then we tap into some men feel like, hey, you're not even really like doing it if you don't have a legacy to leave behind. So your attention is always going to shift. But if it's always at home, right, with your parents or your mother, you will never go out into the world and become great, right? I was listening to an interview with Tupac's father recently, and yeah, and he just spoke about how it was a lot of foul play in his relationship with his son. But let's just take somebody like Tupac for example. What if, as black men in particular, what if we didn't come from so many broken homes? What if we didn't have to focus our energy on that? Like, that's why I said know your purpose. Your purpose is not necessarily to correct your entire bloodline. It's not to fix your broken home first that you come from. That's not your purpose. You know what I'm saying? Your gifts, your talents is for you to progress forward. If you can't look forward and backwards at the same time, 100% of the time, it's okay to give back. It's okay to tap in with your family. And it's not just about mothers no more. It's okay to try to elevate your family, especially while you're elevating at the same time, but you're going to burn out. You're going to lose countless amounts of energy. You have limited resources of energy, right? So you want to make your plate not heavy to where you're drained out and depleted, but just keep your plate light enough for you to progress forward and continuously move. So what am I saying? Family can be a very beautiful thing and it can be a very dark thing depending on what type of family you come from. If the minute you get more money and you just got more hands in front of you, chances are you'll never be able to do whatever your purpose is calling for you to do with that money. You can't give back to the community. You can't give back to charity. You can't do anything because you have so many hands in front of you. When these athletes go out here and who don't know nothing about money, that's why they go broke so fast. You know what I'm saying? It's a different world because you don't understand financial literacy. But at the same capacity, you have so many people that you're trying to do things for. So you just have to be careful about where you give your energy to. Somebody said within some I was listening to today, they was like, look, if I got $100 at max, the only thing I can give is like shit, 10 or 20. If I give more than 10 or 20, that $100 ain't gonna be worth shit no more. If I give 50, it definitely ain't worth shit because now I'm back to $50. But if I get $1,000, okay, now I can give 100. I probably could go a little bit over 100, but if I keep going over 100 and I only got 1,000, it's gonna bring me back. So I'll never be able to invest. I'll never be able to do what I got to do with that money to make a million. So just keep that in mind. Watch your family. You know what I'm saying? You got it.
man. One thing he was talking about is trying to progress and make other people progress. I had a conversation today with a friend of mine, and I informed him like, "Listen, I got a a meeting with a VP of Capital One later on this week.
Mhm.
Immediately, he was just like, "Yo, man, you got a +1?" I said, "Nah, bro, I don't got a +1. This is going to be a introduction meeting, meaning like the person who's bringing me to the meeting is introducing me to this person." And I have to sit there and explain to him at the same time. Like, listen, as much as I want to take everybody with me, I got to make sure I'm actually fucking in first. If I'm if the door's open to me and I'm trying to invite y'all already, it's not to say I'll ever get in the door. Sometimes I gotta focus on what's in front of me in order to get in and bring other people that's behind me through the door. Um, we call this the keypad, the key. We would call it keypad or the remote key, right? There's some places you go to an apartment, right? You hit it with a key, door unlocks. The man who's introduced me, that's the key. Meaning, without him, I don't have certain access right now.
Mhm.
The goal is for me is to become a key. That way, I can get y'all through the access.
Mhm.
If I'm always trying to put y'all through the key, and then you know what I'm saying, he opens the key, the door's open, and I gotta hold the door open, make sure y'all get in. It's not, you know what I'm saying. They'll look at it like if you ever try to run in some of these apartment buildings, they'll look at it like, hey, do y'all belong here? Like, why are they holding the door for you? Like, who's? That's what I'm saying. I have to explain to them. Like, sometimes you got to get yourself all the way through before you bring anybody else with you.
Mhm.
And that's one of the main things that we have to be able to make sure our friends and family understand. I had to have that talk with my mom not too long ago, last month. Um, and I was like telling her, like, listen, I don't know what's going on between us, but there seems to be some space between us. And she kind of let it out. She was just like, listen, you don't call me mom no more. Like, you're always busy. I thought we'd be more closer as you got older. And I said, listen, I got real blunt with her. I was like, listen, she brought up one time, like, you didn't even show me where you stayed. I was like, I showed you where I stayed twice. And she was like, yeah, but you never let me in. I said, the first place I stayed in, I barely had any furniture. And the second place I stayed, I forget you. I don't know if you remember. I used to stay on a prostitute street. I don't know if I don't feel like no man's going to be comfortable bringing his mother into a certain area or inside the home, but you really just kind of worry about your personal feelings towards the situation, and not the fact I'm looking at the surroundings of I need to get the fuck out of here. But this is what I have to do and get the process of the ball rolling so I can move forward. So, like I said, after that heart to heart conversation, like she was able to understand. Like one thing, she was like, I love the way you network. For some reason, you can keep opening doors for you. I said, yeah. I tell people all the time. I join groups. I go talk to people. I link up here. I go here. I just place myself in environments and areas I have interest in. That's pretty much it. I have no secret sauce, no nothing. And you got to be able to have certain conversations that people want to have at the same time. But that was kind of like outside the point of what I'm saying right now. But
Okay.
when it comes, like I said, when Marlon Wayne's, one thing that kind of struck me is, like, does he have? I don't know. Does he have kids? I don't know.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So I don't know. I guess that just threw me in a loop right there for a second. Like, well, shit, people can have
That time.
kids.
That
People
time for
can
that.
have kids all day.
Yeah.
Yeah, people
All
can
right.
have kids all day.
That makes
But
time for
man, I a part of me really wants to ask: is that really the reason behind why he chooses not to get married, or why he didn't get married, or can you know what I'm saying? Sometimes it feels better to have a shield than not to have a shield.
that.
So one of the things is like, hey, your mom is your protector, your nurturer at all times. So that's like one of the best things you can throw out there. But I'm also looking at it like the Wayne brothers. Well, it's three of them. It's three together, right? Is Marlon, uh,
I think it's
it's
four,
four.
3 or 4.
I just remember three right now. But it's four. But I'm looking at it at the same time. Why don't all of them have the same mentality that he has? So it's just kind of interesting on his part. But yeah, I mean, this subject not really too long, but damn, it's kind of crazy.
All right.
Um,
Something you said, man, with the door situation. The more time you spend opening the door for somebody else to come through, you can't navigate that room to get to the next door
yeah,
yourself. To open up more doors for people because you're taking away time, right? So you want to keep that in mind. Not not to be mean, but sometimes as parents we have to accept the fact that we may have made certain failures within our personal lives. And sometimes you just got to eat those failures. It don't mean make your problems become your children's problems. That should never be the goal. Like, we make it this very famous statement like mother sacrifice for the children like nobody else, right? So why not continue to sacrifice once the child becomes an adult? Why stop sacrificing now? It's never your time with your child. It hurts, but it's never about you. So we can't say, "Oh, I sacrificed during this time, so now the kid in debt, he got to pay me back." No,
Man,
you don't owe your parents.
that's a whole story right there.
You don't owe your parents shit. The only thing you owe your parents is pretty much respect, and you owe them to be a productive member of society. Anything else is extra. That's how I look at it. You know what I'm saying? If they sickly or something like that, and you know what I'm saying, there's things you can step in and take care of, fine. I'm not saying turn your back on your parents, but living like that, being indebted to people, sometimes you can never pay that debt back, and that becomes a problem. So when do you get your freedom papers? When? You know what I'm saying? We see it all the time where a person can get married, move. Now your family looking at you like you was disloyal to the family because you left. You turned your back on us. You went out and got married. You produced a family. That's what you're supposed to do. So we just got to keep in mind these types of things happen. So one thing I like to say is for parents, you have to realize you had your life. Whatever mistakes you made, whatever things you didn't do, that's on you. That's only your problem to deal with, and it's only your responsibility to fix. It's nobody else's. So your kid is not your contingency plan, nor your grandchildren, or none of that shit. You had their life. When it comes to inheritance, whether it's like lump sums of money, houses being passed down, we have to stop these situations to where the older people are continuing to take the inheritance. Get that shit to the youth. Get that shit to the people in their 20s and their 30s that actually need that as help. At some point, you're past being helped. 40, 50, 60 years old, can't nobody really help you. You shouldn't be inheriting anything else. You should be passing down. So we don't have these kind of conversations. We want to talk about systematically how oppression works, how poor people don't have access to wealth. You're in a broken community, right? But the community is broken because the older people that aren't successful are still trying to reap the benefits that's out there available. Everybody's fighting for crumbs and resources. So if everything's about the older people, the parents, and it's never about the youth, I mean, the youth continuously getting out the mud. So that's what generational wealth is for. That's what inheritance is for, is to help the youth. If the youth can never elevate, then what are they going to do? They're going to produce more youth that's going to continue to do the same thing. So I just hate it when I see situations in family where people fight over houses and it's the older person that feel like they're entitled to. No, you had your life. Your shit is over. It's damn, I mean, it's sad to say, but your shit is probably coming to an end shortly. Get that shit to somebody younger that actually got more time to actually utilize the resources. Pass the shit down. So we just got to get out of this mentality. Yo, pass that shit down. The youth deserves those opportunity and resources. And then possibly they can innovate. You never think about that. So you got it.
Yeah, guy, you was funny right there. I had to catch myself. So yeah, your time's not that much longer.
Hey, people want to die with the resources. They don't want to let it go. If they can fit it in the casket with them, they'll take it with them. Hey, you know, they wouldn't pass nothing down. That happens.
That story.
All right. We can get ready to wrap it up. I don't think we could tap in too much longer on that one. Do you think this is like an issue that strikes a certain group of people, like by race, by community, or is it just like something that's going on that everybody goes through? I see different people going through it, actually.
I see, listen, what I witnessed in my anecdotal experience, I see it more in Black communities, Hispanic communities. Really don't see it too much in white predominantly. But like I said, this is just personal. This is like, I just think I'll say it's the love of the mother at the end of the day. The love of the mother. Because like I said, you can love somebody to a point where you wound them, or you can love somebody to a point you push them further. like I said, and if sometimes you can pay attention to, um, like I said, even you and I can pick that up when we're around certain youthful individuals. Like, okay, I can tell you've been around your mother too long. I can tell like she kept you enclosed too long. Okay,
Mhm.
okay. You know what I'm saying? Like, talked about it one time. I talked about it a lot of time with my childhood. Like, listen, I knew I was in a closed off from the world from the way I would communicate with certain people versus how they communicate. But it's
Mhm.
still youth to youth, but I'm just communicating at a different rate. Um, like I said, I remember my mom had told me at one point, she's like, I kept you close to me for a reason. I was like, yeah, that was cool. But I was like a child then. Like I'm like older now. Like I got to make some shit happen. And that's another thing is, and I feel like people don't respect the growth process uh, that men are wanting to go through. Like there's a difference between. This is my personal philosophy. I believe there's a difference between having responding responsibilities and wanting the responsibility. I think
Mhm.
people who are wanting the responsibilities are willing to push themselves 10 times harder because they're already putting it in their mind that they want it, so they're going to excel in doing whatever it takes to build themselves up to handle whatever comes through. And people who just had a responsibility just happen to fall in their lap. Like, hey, okay, look, I got older, I got bills, versus a person be like, listen, I want the responsibilities. I'll be able to manage these bills. So I did X of this, X amount of that to be able to make sure I can save and invest and move things to the side for leisure. So it's like a whole different mind game. But when people go through that growth stage, it's literally gonna connect. It's either you're gonna have responsibilities or you're gonna want the responsibility. That's why I always say like me want to become resourceful. That's me wanting. So it requires me to do more than the average person who just was like, listen, hey, we get older, we understand bills come every week, weekends are always on the weekends. Like it's just shit like that. I'm planning escape routes, entry routes, how to navigate through that. I'm just wanting so much that it forces me to keep growing. So yeah, that's what my
All right, my last thing. I'm telling the truth tonight. Um, I lived it, and I seen a lot of young males live it. When you look at the crime rate, you look at why so many young black males, in particular young Hispanic males, tap into crime. You got to think about it. You work a 9 to 5, you make average money, 60, 80K, whatever. That's a little above average, but
yeah, that's
it's
above average.
a little above. But um, you can feel like you actually need to do 10 times more when you really don't. You're already above average, but if you're doing too much with that, it's going to become a smaller amount. So that tends to shift young men to go into crime, right? Because now you need fast money. You need it right now. Can't go to work, can't do it the right way, can't invest. Investment is a game of time, making the right investments
Yeah,
throughout time.
it's the time.
So everything becomes a quick flip. Everything becomes, you start thinking of life and money within that fashion. Fast, quick, fast, quick. Now you become in a position to where you take risks. Now you're looking at reward to risk ratios that shouldn't even be there to begin with. So sometimes we have to take full responsibility of the full view of how things turn out and pan out. A lot of these young black males, Hispanic males that's out committing crimes and end up incarcerated or dead, I can guarantee you it's a lot of mothers in those situations that got their hands out, that need money, that need their rent paid, that needs medical expenses paid for. So oppression works in chains, you know what I mean? Like the more you are oppressed, the more you fail within your personal life. 9 times out of 10, your children, your son takes that load. So when we look at the crime rate, we have to keep those things in mind. Uh, Sad situations, but a lot of times when you hear people talk about when they first started selling drugs, the stories are very similar.
Yeah,
Either
the
they,
premise is similar, bro. I was
yeah,
about to say.
either they was just completely just on some homeless shit as children, or it was like, look, I needed money for school clothes, mama couldn't afford
Yeah.
it. It all starts with school clothes.
Shit.
9 times out of 10, I wanted what the other kids had, I didn't have it, so I had to go out there and get it. So
It's like 80% of your rappers, bro. About 80% of your rappers have the same story.
so that's all. Look at the crime rate. Don't just look at the divorce rate, the marriage rate. All these things tie into 9 times out of 10 what type of household you come from, and it ties into your family structure that you came from. So that's all, man.
All right, brother, man. Well, listen, that was a great episode, man. You go ahead and sign us off.
All right, cool. Talking and Talk official podcast. Tap into the YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe. We have plenty more content available. We'll be back on this live Thursday with more content for you. So tap in. We thank you for watching. Make sure you follow us on IG, of course. Share the video, share the live, and we'll see you again.
All right, y'all. Peace.
All right.